Alright, in this video we're going to just take a quick look at how to fill out the real estate purchase contract. So the idea of this video is not to replace any training classes that we're offering live for you to attend. So don't feel like by attending this or watching this video that's going to count towards having attended a live class. The idea of this one is just to give you more of a quick overview to help you know how to fill it out more so than anything. So as go through this video, keep in mind that you may have many other questions. There's going to be other classes that we cover way more in depth that you need to attend. So don't feel like by watching this video that's going to give you everything you need. So let's go ahead and get started here. So this first page of the real estate purchase contract, notice this is a legally binding contract. So if you do want to consult legal advice or tax advice, your client should feel free to do so. So first blank line on here is the offer reference date. So this offer reference date is going to be the date that they're filling out the contract. But it's important to remember that because where this date comes in place is when somebody fills out an addendum or something. It'll ask for the offer reference date. Well, that would be the date you put here. The buyer's name, what we want to put in here is we want that to match what is on the loan documents. So the underwriter is going to want to see the buyer's name to match on the real estate purchase contract right here to match what they have put on their loan application. So find out what they have applied for the loan if they have. If they haven't, what name they would be, and you'll put that in here. The seller's name, I usually recommend that you call the listing agent and ask them a few questions. One of them would be, what do you want me to put for the seller's name on the real estate purchase contract? The other places you could find out would be to check the tax records to see what it shows for the seller's name there. The next is delivers the buyer's brokerage the earnest money or agrees to deliver for no later than 4 calendar days after acceptance. My recommendation would be that you typically are going to check the box delivers to the buyer's brokerage with the offer and collect the earnest money from the buyers at the time of writing the offer. There is going to be times where, however, that just isn't going to be possible for whatever reason. Could be that they just didn't have a checkbook with them. They didn't have any money to go get a cashier's check or go get a money order or anything. In that case, you would check the box for this one to agrees to deliver no later than 4 calendar days after. But as I said, you're typically going to want to be checking this box and not this one. So just remember that's how you're going to be deciding based on from your client with that. So again, also remembering that if you do end up checking this box to delivers no later than 4 calendar days after acceptance, that what that means is once this offer is accepted, you've got to make sure you remember to collect that from them, and then we've got 4 days to get it deposited at the brokerage. So again, it's just one more layer of things you've got to remember that could put your client in default if for some reason you forgot to collect the earnest money. So that's why I usually recommend you're only checking this box that delivers to the buyer's brokerage with this offer. Okay. The amount, a general rule is 1%, but it depends on purchase price, meaning it's not uncommon if somebody had a $150,000 home or even a $100,000 home, they're going to do $500 in earnest money versus somebody with a $10,000 earnest money deposit. That may even not be quite enough if they were purchasing a $1 million home, so they might want to do a little more than that. So, but just as a general rule, if you think 1% is probably pretty safe. The other thing to keep in mind is this earnest money is what they are putting up to the seller, that if we don't perform, if we miss any of our deadlines, that's how much the money the seller gets to keep. Now the other side of that is if the seller defaults, that's how much the buyer would get back from us as well as from the seller. So it's a little bit of a balancing act as to which way is the best route to go. In the form of, you're going to want to put, typically it's going to be a personal check. There may be times that such as a cash deal that's going to close really quick, that we would want you to get a cashier's check, something that is certified funds, because without that we wouldn't be able to get it closed and taken care of quickly. So a cashier's check, again, just if it's a really quick closing, going to happen within a week or 10 days, then potentially would want to look at that. If it's going to be 30, 45 days, something like that, then a personal check should be fine. Next down here is buyer's brokerage. You've already see we've got Century 21 Everest in here. The phone number, I usually recommend put the office phone number. You could also put your cell phone number there. The received by, you're only going to sign this if you are collecting the earnest money at the time of writing the offer. If you checked the box to get it 4 days after acceptance, then you're not going to sign this, because you'll notice it says signature above acknowledges receipt of earnest money. When you sign this, you're acknowledging we've received it. But what we don't want to do is go sign this once we have an executed contract. So there's a separate form that you would use, which is a confirmation of earnest money. That is a form you'll fill out if you ended up checking this box. So again, just to make sure, if you checked this box, you'll also end up signing here. If you checked this one, you won't sign here, and instead you'll use the confirmation of earnest money when you get it. The date would be dating when you signed this. Next is the property. So on this, you're going to put the address of the property, also described as. Down here, typically what you're going to put in there is the tax ID number, which you can get off of the MLS. I do recommend just double checking that to make sure that it is the correct tax ID number. City of is going to be the city that the property's in. The county goes here, and then the state goes here. So you'll fill those in there. Down here is included items. Under included items, you'll see it's got all the items listed that are going to be included in the purchase price of the property, listed here. Other included items, these are things that would not be typically listed up in here, but let's say you were wanting to ask for the washer, the dryer, refrigerator, and you'll notice it says washers, dryers, refrigerators. That's all plural. So if the person had more than one washer or dryer, then that's what you would be asking for. Next is excluded items. Oh, one other thing to point out on this is sometimes people will say, well, on the MLS it said that the refrigerator was excluded, but my client wants to ask for it. Great, check the box here, ask for it. This overrides anything that's on the MLS. So the MLS is an offering. This is what we're actually agreeing to. So just because it says excluded on the MLS, if you check this box, that means that if the seller accepts this offer, you're getting it. Excluded items would be items here that are excluded. So let's say they had refrigerator excluded, the buyer doesn't want it, and they want to make sure the seller's taking it, then yes, I would list that here. So these would be the items you do not want included in the sale of the property. Water service. This section says that the water shares and water rights associated with the property that are a legal source for the seller will be transferred with the property. So if for some reason you wanted to exclude them, you would need to list it here. So this one defaults that they are included. Here's where you would exclude them. Next is purchase price. Here's where you're going to write out the amount that the the buyer wants to offer to the seller. So you'll put in the dollar amount there, and then next is the breakdown of that. So earnest money, up above here we had an earnest money amount. Whatever was in this line here is that earnest money amount, is also the amount that's going to go in this line here for earnest money. So you're going to put in the earnest money amount there. Next is new loan. So what's their loan amount going to be? A lot of times people will say, well, I don't know, or how do I calculate it? Best way to figure it out is to drop down to balance of purchase price and cash at settlement, which is another way for saying their down payment. So this is how much they're going to do as a down payment. On an FHA loan, it's going to be 3.5%. Conventional could be 5, 10, 15, 20, something like that. So find out how much they're going to do as a down payment. Subtract the down payment and the earnest money from the purchase price, and that will tell you the loan amount. So again, just a quick overview on that. Let's say that the person was going to do $5,000 as a down payment, and they had done $1,000 of earnest money. Well, you would put $1,000 here and $4,000 down here, because the earnest money will go towards the purchase price as well. So again, if it was $5,000 they were wanting to put down, you'd put $1,000 here and $4,000 down here. So the $1,000 for the earnest money, and then the difference between those is going to be your loan amount. So A, B, C, and D added together, which typically is seller financing, you're going to put 0. Add those together should equal what you had put up here as an amount, and then you're going to re-put that down here. So if it was, let's say, $200,000 here, this should say $200,000 down here, and A, B, C, and D added together should equal $200,000. So last thing on this page of the form is settlement. Settlement is just saying that it'll take place no later than the settlement deadline in section 24, and you're going to have your client's initial here. So husband and wife in these two boxes here. If there was more than that, a third person, you'd have them initial below or next to. If there's only one, just have do in one of those in the box.